Hey watchers, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a piece from a new brand. This is a brand with a symbol N because the brand name is Nove. So Nove watches, courtesy from them of sending this watch for review. So let's just open this, and I gotta say I like practical packaging like this because you can actually use this as a travel pouch. A bit big for a travel pouch, but I guess you can still use it. It's nice and padded in here with the foam that it comes in. And just to show you, that it does come with kind of a warranty card, which they have kindly left blank, and then some very basic instructions, and it tells you the Swiss made movement there on the left side. Okay, that's really all you need to operate a watch like that, nothing more than that. I'm just going to take out the foam and show you guys a little bit about what's in here. So in here, there's a microfiber cloth and then nothing much else. There's a basic tag, desiccant, and the extra links that I have taken out from the watch. That's really all it comes in. You don't really need much more for a watch like this. So let's just show this to you. So guys, this here is the Nove Trident Dive Style watch. This is what it is. This model is E003-02 for this color variation. I did want the plain steel one, but that was out of stock, and then they have a whole bunch of other color variants which you can take a look on the website to see the other things that are available. All right, let's talk about the movement in this watch. So what they have in here is the Swiss Ronda 1062 Slim Tech movement. So this is a movement which is really only 1.9 millimeter sticks, which kind of allows this watch to achieve its thinness. It is 4 jewels, so if you like your jewels, this one does have 4 jewels. The performance or indications are only hours and minutes. There is no seconds, there is no date on this watch. The rated accuracy per month is -10 + 20. Just to let you know, I've not run this for a month, and I'm not going to do that because firstly, it's too long a time to wait for a review, and secondly, that doesn't actually have a second hand for me to time anyway. Battery life is pretty impressive. 6 years, as you can see there, on the single button battery that it comes with. All right, so let's just talk about the case here. The case here is pretty big, right? In terms of the actual case size is 46 millimeters. So with calipers measuring the actual diameter of the case, it comes out at 46 millimeters. If you measure the widest part of the bezel, which is kind of between my thumb and finger here, right, you can see there are wider bits here. It actually comes up at 48 millimeters, even bigger. Thickness, however, and this is part of its potential claim to fame, is 6.8 millimeters. And with that, the Nove Trident claims to be the world's thinnest dive watch, and we will discuss that a little bit later. The bracelet, I think the lug width is not really meaningful. It's probably only about 12 millimeters. That's not really what you're going to swap it out for. The bracelet connection to the case here is 25 millimeters, and it does taper to around 22 millimeters, around that point there. The overall weight of this watch is 143 grams, so kind of middling range and not too heavy. And also, just to mention, the case height, I guess you can call it the lug-to-lug distance, but really it's more of a case height, 49 millimeters. So, it's almost like a square, right? The bezel at the edge is 48. That is only 49 millimeters. Doesn't go too far despite the size of the case. Finishing wise, all right, let's just talk a little bit about finishing. The bezel is mostly kind of like a matte finishing, but all the markings, the minute markings, as well as the numbers are kind of just polished on that black PVD that you can see there. It does have a circular brushing on the top surface there. It's probably very difficult for me to show you, but there is circular brushing there. It transitions to vertical brushing on the sides. All right. Probably very difficult to see because it's so thin, and it does have a polished bevel. So that beveled edge there, that angled edge, does have a polish finish there. And you've seen that in a number of other watches. They've done this in a pretty fair way here, I think. The case back is interesting in that, let's just see if I can capture that. So you can see there's a big N in the middle and some details around the side telling you the model number and whatnot. It does have 4 screws securing that case back. So it's not actually a screw-in case back. It's secured by 4 screws. So that's an interesting thing that they've gone for, whilst claiming that this is a dive watch. The crown is gold PVD, and it does have a signage there, right, in kind of a hexagonal, I don't know what you would describe that crown shape as, but the top here is a hexagonal type of shape in gold PVD. It is actually a screw down crown, and they have actually rated this watch at 200 meters, so kind of a proper dive rating. So at least they've actually achieved that despite that 4-screw secured case back. The dial, okay, let's just move on to the dial now. It's matte black and fairly minimalistic, I have to say, with applied gold markers, as well as that brand symbol and the word Swiss made down the bottom. There's really got nothing else here. There's no chapter ring, so it definitely is more of a minimalistic dial. The hands here are lozenge shaped, also in gold PVD, and it does have superluminova, but really it's only the 2 hands that has the lume. There's no other part of this watch that has lume. Okay, now the bezel on top of the watch is 60-click unidirectional dive style, but it doesn't, again, as I mentioned, there's no lume, so it doesn't really qualify as a dive bezel in that sense. You can see there is a visible bezel mechanism there, right? Those 3 prongs, or I guess maybe you call that the trident. This is maybe where the name is partly alluding to, apart from the nautical team, is these 3 prongs, the trident watch. So let's just hear how it sounds. 10, right? So 60 clicks. In fact, if you look at the teeth of the bezel here, you can tell it's 60 clicks and not 120 clicks, right? So not bad, fairly solid, minimal black play, and it's kind of cool that you can see the mechanism. This is probably the only watch that I've ever seen that shows the mechanism naked for the eye to see, and that's probably partly how they need to do it to achieve the 6.8mm thickness that they've gone for here. On top of the dial is a flat sapphire crystal, just a simple flat sapphire crystal. That's really what they've gone for. I'm not sure whether there's anti-reflective coating, possibly on the inside, but they haven't actually stated. Okay, so that's the case. Let's just move on to the bracelet. So you've seen part of this already. It is a black PVD steel bracelet. Again, 25mm at the case, tapering to 22mm at the clasps here. Push pin adjustment, right? It doesn't have screw links. I guess end links is not really a consideration here, if you will. That really just connects directly here, and it's got a push button release butterfly clasp. It's really what they've gone for, and let's just show you the clasp here. One side clips in, and then the other side clips on top with the end that goes on top of it, right? That's really what it looks like. All right, so there we go. Let's just put it on quickly for a wrist shot for you guys now. Snap it on the wrist, and there it is, the Nove Trident dive watch. So again, this dimension here is 49mm. The widest part of the bezel is 48. So that's how it sits on my 17cm wrist. It is a large watch, definitely, but it helps sit a bit better because that lug length is pretty much the same as the case width. All right, guys, so what have I enjoyed about this watch? And I guess the notable things I'll say, it's a Swiss-made package, right? They have actually achieved Swiss movement with the claim of being the world's thinnest diver, and I can't search about any dispute against that claim, but let me know if you're aware of a thinner dive quartz watch, and I think it will have to be a quartz watch that goes against this. It's an interesting, kind of stylish design with tool elements, but also dress style, minimalistic fashion elements, I would have to say, particularly that dial. I think there's no doubt that's minimalistic, but that bezel, the 200-meter resistant, that visible trident mechanism, that's all kind of alluding towards like a tool style watch. So this is kind of got a split personality here, and that's either a bad thing or a good thing that you can view it as. The bracelet, I would say, it's pretty simple, but I gotta say it's actually a pretty darn comfortable bracelet, this simple steel black PVD that they've designed. The concerns, or I guess the things that I would say maybe you need to consider and think more about before getting this watch. It's pretty large, right? 48mm, the side of the bezel is large by anybody's definition, so you got to be aware this is going to sit very big on the wrist. Its tool aspects, are not really fully realized. It's not able to perform as a full diver, and that's because in terms of the usual requirements, it has to have a running indicator. This doesn't have a second hand, and it also has to have a way to time it, and that should be loomed, and this doesn't actually have that. So there's no way this will fulfill ISO requirements if it was put up to that standing. So in a sense, it's not a proper diver. And there are practical shortcomings. So no chapter ring, no minute markings, there's no second hand or a date. So if you're gonna, if you particularly want any of those features, this definitely doesn't have it. And therefore, overall, I think it feels more like a fashion watch. I gotta say, after having this for a week on hand and just seeing how this wears on the wrist, it is more of a fashion brand, I would say, especially with the available color range that they've provided. So let me know your particular thoughts on this. And there's nothing wrong with that. The feel of the company is more towards like a dress fashion type of style. That's the feel of a lot of the pieces. So guys, there we have it. My review of the Nove Trident, the world's thinnest dive watch as far as I'm aware, but let me know if you find otherwise. Guys, if you enjoy my reviews, my videos, do consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.